Hello. This is Samir Azizi speaking. Welcome to Azizi Podcast. Hello to my fans from Kazakhstan. Hello to my listeners from Canada. Hello to my listeners from United States. Today is June 12th, 2021. And last time I spoke to you was last month when I was in the hotel quarantine after my amazing trip to Kazakhstan. Just to give you a quick recap, so basically I finished it in 2 days, the quarantine, and then I spent the rest of my 14-day quarantine in my apartment, in my building, in my condo. And so it wasn't that bad. It was pretty cool. So it was pretty easy, not the first time. But overall, this is going to be a quick one. Just wanted to check in with everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing fine. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast. Don't forget to check out my Instagram at AZZ and all the other social networks as well. For example, Twitter. But yeah, just wanted to say that I'm alive and everything is good. And the weather in Canada is finally fantastic. And yesterday was the first day when the patios are open. That's like the two favorite things during summer in Canada, in Ontario. It's patio and cottage. Cottage and patio. Everyone likes to go to cottage. Have you been to cottage? I'm going to go cottage and stuff like that. So anyways, I've never been to cottage, but I kind of want to go. But yeah, it was like exciting. You know, I was walking around with my buddy around downtown Toronto, and everyone was just like, all the women were just so beautiful, you know, like you could see, like it was like a prom night or something. Everyone was like just dressed up. The guys kind of didn't care, but the girls were just like all in, and I'm 100% supporting that. So that was awesome. What else? Yeah, just like food everywhere. The smells is like, wow, like that's probably, and it's like pretty much 50% capacity, right? What Toronto can do, but like this is like, oh, like this is how Toronto should feel, you know, like a party and festivals, and like everyone's just so happy. Very little people wear masks and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. So I really enjoyed, you know, walking around and checking it out. Unfortunately, I didn't go to any patio because I'm on a strict diet during the weekdays. So today is actually my cheat day. But what I've chosen for my cheat day today is that yesterday I really felt like peanut butter. I don't know, I just really wanted peanut butter, so I bought a jar of peanut butter today. And yeah, I'm just like getting this peanut butter jelly time for like, I don't know, I ate too much. I'm like barely like making it right now. But hopefully, I don't know, people say that I'm gonna break out, so like goodbye beautiful skin, I guess. Anyways, boring stuff. But this is pretty much what's happening in my life. You know, everything else is the same, working from home. Oh, I got this amazing umbrella on my patio. It's just like, oh my God, it's just so cool to sit there. The only thing is that I'm lazy to go there right now. I'd just rather be inside with my AC. But yeah, what happened lately? Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather. It was an exhibition fight. I think it was 8 rounds. The winner was not announced, but Logan Paul survived, and you know, it's very exciting. Apparently, I don't know if that's true, but they say Floyd got 120 mils for that. I doubt there's 120 mils in that fight, but definitely people say Logan Paul got 20 million for that. Well, I don't know. I feel like 20 mil sounds reasonable with 1 million pay-per-views, $50 each. Well, we have like 50 million. Yeah, and then they probably split something like 50-50, or maybe Logan got, I don't know, it's just speculating. But yeah, definitely people got some nice chunks of cash on this fight. And there's a lot of speculation, well, there's a lot of like debate, like whether it's good for boxing or whether it's bad for boxing. My personal opinion, and I'm gonna go on record here, there's like two things for me. There's either no relation to boxing at all, and boxing will not be affected because it's not like boxing is this like organic thing that is happening and all of that. Like boxing is so structured and so controlled by different fractions, like bodies, commissioner bodies, like all the alphabets and the promoters and all of that. It's just like there's no like good or bad for boxing. This is the first, so like it's nothing. It's gonna do nothing for boxing. And my second opinion, if it does something for boxing, it will probably just do good for boxing, because a lot of fans of the sport think that somehow boxing is a zero-sum industry. Like if there's like some stupid fight's gonna happen, then oh my God, everyone's gonna like, whoa, we don't like boxing anymore. We're not gonna watch it. It's not a serious sport. That will never happen. Okay, like some famous guy said like boxing is like we will never die as a sport. It will probably go through some stupid stuff, but it will never die. And so, if anything, I personally think it's good for boxing. First of all, like for example, the Triller fights or Logan Paul or Jake Paul fights, they actually introduced a platform for actual professional boxers to be on the undercard. And yeah, you can say like, well, they have to be like main event or whatever, but hey, it could have been no platform, but there's one additional boxing platform. So, just for them strictly, the whole thing enabled professional boxing on that undercard to earn extra cash on those fights. Also, because there's more platforms right now, aka promotions and all of that, for example, Triller, and which is the other one? I don't know. Let's just pretend that I said like a couple good ones. The fact that there is more diversification of platforms on the market for the sport of boxing means that there's a better competition between these platforms, and they have to offer better conditions and better terms for the athletes that will be fighting on their platforms. So for fighters, it's actually a good thing. If anything, if there's Triller times 3, that's even better. The more platforms we have, and the more like diversified the whole field is, the better it is for us, for viewers, because they will have to compete for our eyes, and it's better for the athletes because the platforms will have to compete for their contracts. There was like one podcast, I think, someone discussed that, okay, like maybe fighters shouldn't sign like multiple year contracts. Each contract should be one by one fight, so that after each fight they can switch platforms and negotiate more and more. I think like it's been in the past, it was like, well, there's only Showtime and HBO Sports and some like whatever ESPN or whoever was showing those fights. I'm not like a historian, but it was like a very like limited supply of platforms. So the mentality was like, if you will sign for multiple year contract, you sort of got them on the gotcha. Like no matter the fight, no matter how you perform, you have multiple years. So like, and I understand that we still have that in professional sports, but the thing is, promoters and managers and everyone else treat boxing as a fight-by-fight event, like sport, like on a single-fight basis. So it's like we always promote the fights like it's the last fight ever, right? And that's not me who said that, it's like someone else, but I'm stealing this. Like, yeah, like it's true. It's like there's not going to be any fights. And so because the industry treats a boxing fight like that, boxers themselves, the athletes, should treat their business like that as well. It's a fight-by-fight basis. Let's negotiate the first fight and then the second fight. The same. I mean, it happens with all the big boxers. Like, look at Canelo, look at Floyd. Like, there's but yes, they're big stars. But the fact that we have more and more platforms and those celebrities are getting on that as well, it gives boxers an opportunity to also treat themselves as a separate entity, not just like a brand. Like, you don't go to your managers like, yo, go out there and get me like a 5-year contract with Showtime or HBO or whatever. But, boxers can say to their managers or to their promoters like, hey, I want a good deal within the next 6 months or 3 months. And I want a deal like that. This is my standard. And I want 4 deals or maybe 6 deals within this year. So, and this is what I'm expecting to make. And go for it and do it. Do your best. And if you do your best, that's good. And if you don't do your best, that's not good. And if you don't do your best, maybe someone else can. Right? So that's kind of like ideally, like in an ideal world, that's how I see boxers dictate their conditions. But unfortunately, because boxers themselves, they don't have time to think about those things. They want security, they want stability, and they often feel like there's no leverage. Meaning like, well, if I'm not going to sign, someone else will sign. So this is where I think the problem is that boxers are just like, this saying like golden contract. Like they just want to get that contract and get it over with. But instead, I feel like if we could just maybe, I don't want to say educate or whatever. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just giving them some sort of a path, like a path to glory, path to success, or how you should look at your career and what do you represent. Because finding a really good talent is very difficult. And yes, we have a lot of journeyman or just boxers who just like, let's say, just fight for quick cash. But if you're really like a talent, Like, people talk about Xander Zayas, I don't know about Xander Zayas. Maybe he's a talent, maybe he's not. But like some good people say that he's a good talent. So if you're as a boxer being recognized as a talent, then at least you have to use that as your leverage, I think, and pressure. And again, I'm not saying you should like go out there and like, yell at Bob Arum or something. But you want to make sure you talk to your manager in the right way, because you're the boss. Manager works for you. He's not managing you. He manages your business. And so just giving those conditions to that person, like, hey, I'm a talent. Look at this article. Look at like the Ring magazine, like, and comments from like, I don't know, Doug Fisher or Mike Montero, whatever. Like, yeah, I'm being recognized. This is my like, or like, I mean, I'm not even talking if you have like an extended amateur career and you're an Olympian. No matter like gold medal, silver medal, or you simply went into Olympics, you're automatically a blue chip in my eyes. So it's just important that that the boxers pressuring their promoters and their managers in the right way, like my personal opinion. Whereas like there's certain KPIs, and for those who don't know, like check out. But KPIs is basically that here's a metric. Like I want that amount of money. I want this amount of fights by this date and all of that. So just like make sure you're like being very precise about very precise about your goals, I guess, and to make sure that everyone on your team is on the same page. I don't know why I just kind of like went into this freaking rant about boxing management like I'm some sort of a freaking boxing management PhD. I know nothing. I'm like an outsider almost, a little bit of an inside, but pretty much outside. But like that's what I like after like watching the boxing for so long, and by so long I mean like since 2013, and then being very close to it since 2018. I'm looking at it. I'm just like, okay, there's certain things that needs to be done, I feel like. But I mean, I'm not the first one and I'm not the last one who proposes that. Like, I'm really looking forward to see what kind of moves will be done in the next 5 years. See, unfortunately, we're in Canada here, and it sucks. I know Canadian boxers, and they are, they're very sad because there's nothing's happening in Canada, right? And time's flying and everything's closed down. But I am hearing some conversations that boxing might as well come to Canada at some point. And when I say Canada, like we're talking Toronto. Toronto is the richest region, right? Toronto is the city. Toronto is like the market. The problem of this market is that there's not a lot of boxing fans, but it's not really true. I've been to matches here in the Greater Toronto area. People come to see fights. It's just certain people, but that's the thing about boxing. It's a marginal sport. It's for it's a niche sport. So it's for niche fans as well. So yeah, there are people here. I mean, maybe it's gonna be a little tough to like get like Scotiabank Arena filled out, but honestly, depends on the fight and depends on the promotion. What Toronto has to offer is Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment MLSE infrastructure that includes Raptors and football games, soccer and all that. So like, if the right deal is made, certain facilities, everything can be like working accordingly, and the rest needs to be under the promotion. And so I would say if a super fight, if for example, I don't know, some Joshua will say like, I want to come to Canada, and Tyson Fury will like, all right, mate, let's go. And we have like it's like the Thrilla in Manila kind of situation, right? We go to Canada, to Ontario, to Scotiabank Arena. I bet you, all the British will come here, no problem. It's easier for them to come to Toronto than it is to Dubai, in my opinion. I don't know. There's probably no visa or whatever, but I just culturally or whatever, I feel like Toronto is like perfect for the Brits to come. If we're talking like a British fighter, right? So like, what's the flight there? Flight is like 6 hours. 6-hour flight, boom, you're in Toronto, got yourself a hotel, you booked some trips, you went to like Niagara Falls to like do some wine tasting, you get drunk with your buddies, you watch the fight, you're just like all super stoked. Arena is amazing. We have like 3 arenas here, like we have an outdoor stadium, we have this baseball stadium, I forgot how it's called, and we have the freaking Scotiabank Arena, and we have a bunch of other things. But it's like location-wise, Toronto is not bad at all. Like, it's kind of like New York location-wise. Like, internationally, Toronto and New York is the same thing in terms of, like, fans getting, like, abroad, especially. But it's even better. I don't know. I feel like somehow, like, I feel like stuff is cheaper in Toronto. You can pay your staff less if you're like a foreign organizer. So it's just a matter of sports commission here. It's a matter of like conversations, making a deal. But when I'm hearing people say like, yeah, boxing is not gonna work out in Toronto, I'm like, I get what you're coming from. Like, I understand. Like, there's no like a boxing culture. However, there is a lot of boxing culture. People like boxing but they like it from like an average. How I always judge whether the fight was successful or not. If an average like let's say like I don't know, girl named Stacy, like I don't know, aka Caucasian female, like heard about this fight, then like that means the promotion is very good because this is like the least segment of population who is interested in such thing. Unfortunately, of course, I want boxing to be interested by all people, to be interesting for all people. But like that's what I'm hearing when I'm hearing about Mayweather fight, Pacquiao fight, Canelo, Triple G. It's like Stacy talks about, quote unquote, the imaginary person. So yeah, but there's like a lot of people who would be down to go to a fight. It's fun. It's fun to freaking go to a boxing match. I remember I was working at the Cowley Foundation like back in Los Angeles, and I brought my coworkers who are PhD scientists, astrophysicists and stuff like that, and like the staff members of the foundation, and I like bought them tickets for like ringside, at the Tom Loeffler's 360 promotions, Hollywood Fight Nights, and they were just like so shocked, but at the same time, like their primal feelings kicked in, and it was so fun to see them getting into boxing. So no matter what they say, no matter like UFC, no UFC, it's like MMA is better or whatever, boxing is still very exciting. It's just a matter of, I don't know, bringing it to the public. And that's why I think Logan Paul, Jake Paul, all the YouTube stars, all the like Tyson fights and all of that, it's so good for boxing. Because ultimately, when critics talk about boxing and how like all these YouTube fights are not good for it, they're basically saying that, oh, because of them we look like clowns. But that's not true. Because of them, people are starting to get interested. Like, oh, I want to be inside and see the fight. I want to like check it out. I want to go to that event, and then I want to see the real pros doing it. I don't know. It's very hard. Like, it's very hard for me to recognize downside for YouTube boxing, for like exhibition fights. It's really hard for me to recognize. So again, on the record, I'm saying exhibition fights, YouTube fights that are not serious but are very popular and gaining a lot of tractions are good for boxing. That's like my personal opinion, and I'm not convinced otherwise. I do not buy any sort of arguments that say that it's bad for boxing. So I don't know, just for me. Anyways, my point is that Toronto is pretty good. There's a good potential here. Plus, we have Montreal, and Montreal is the capital of boxing, in my opinion, in Canada. But personally, I think Toronto is better location-wise. Again, it's my opinion. I don't know much about Montreal, but I've been there once, and I'm thinking, yeah, they have some arenas and all that, those Gatti fights, but Toronto just has that sport culture, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you're probably not a boxing promoter if you're listening to this podcast, but you probably, in one way or another, know some big guys in boxing. So I guess this is just for you. I'm just trying to plant a seed in your mind that Canada is a player. And the point is just, first of all, of course, because of the lockdown, it cannot be a player right now. But long term, it is a player. And I'm hearing Matchroom is talking about it. And I think I heard Sol Prang is talking about it. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of money. You have to like take a risk. But with the venture capital money that we have right now, for example, with Triller, for example, with what's the other platform? I forgot. Like there's other ones too. Those platforms are not just some promoters like trying to get some cash. It's freaking people in the Silicon Valley tries to figure out how to get more subscribers. This is a subscription game. It's an OTT/subscription game. There's nothing like, it's not the same as like, okay, like we're a network, we need certain pay-per-views and all that. Yeah, pay-per-views are good, but it's not about this pay-per-view. It's about, will you actually take the second pay-per-view? Will you do subscription, do the pay-per-view, but will you watch other content? Can we have you on board. Like we had this thriller acquisition of not Fight Hub. What is that? Fight TV or something like that. And that's a huge one. It's a very smart one of them. I downloaded the Fight app, and they had great content. Interface, amazing interface in terms of like TV apps. So that was a steal. That was a huge acquisition. I don't know how they think they bought it for like $1 billion or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great platform. Oh, also like shout out to Ring City. They're doing some good stuff too. I really like their stuff. Evan Redkowski is a genius. I really miss his podcast. But yeah, there you go. You have Ring City, and if some venture capitalists were smart, because I'm assuming CNBC or was the MSNBC are smart, and they're just will transfer the whole thing to Peacock, which is a huge like Ring City can be such a huge content creator. It's crazy, and obviously like I don't see them getting a lot of funding right now. Otherwise, we'd just be freaking seeing fights every week. But the things that are showing right now, how they're working and like several fights, it's amazing. So if MSNBC are smart, they would invest in that. They would invest in Ring City USA. But if not, then I bet you there's some guy in Silicon Valley or gal that think, all right, we have this amazing content, extremely underpriced. Let's sweep it. Let's just buy it and like create our own OTT app and sell it, like package it really well, level up the freaking production value and everything and yada, yada, yada. And then package it, repackage and sell it to some other one. Like, oh, so much money in this thing. You couldn't believe how much money is in there. Like when people argue about $20 million is nothing. $20 billion, that's what I'm talking about. 20 million is nothing. Like whenever you're talking about like, oh, fighters get 20 million, yeah, okay, 20, like it's good. Yeah, that's not any fighter in boxing does it, but we're talking billions of dollars. And that's why it's very sad to talk about UFC fighters, because UFC fighters, they don't even dream about those millions. They're like, oh, give me $90,000. Oh, and bonus if I do good. Jesus, so sad. Hopefully something is going to be done about it. I mean, no, I don't want to like stab it or whatever, throw a jab at UFC. UFC is a great product, but it's it's an elephant in the room. You look at the boxers, and they're getting millions of dollars, the top-notch boxers, but like you are the top-notch UFC fighter and you get $200,000 and you're supposed to feel good about it. And what they can say, like, well, at least you have a contract, you're like an employee and stuff, like, so you can have like 5 fights for sure, while the boxer, yeah. Anyways, fighters need to get paid more. I just watched the Euro, what is that, Denmark versus Finland, and the guy just collapsed on the field, and he's not even fighting, he just collapsed. Luckily, he's doing well, it looks like. But imagine being a boxer in the ring. Imagine being a UFC fighter and taking blows to the head and being paid, $200,000, and people complaining that that's already too much. Are you crazy? You're training for a year. You need to like eat, put yourself through all this trauma, all this physical stuff, all the diet to $200,000 a year. $200,000 a year. It's like some freaking 25-year-old in Silicon Valley does it. Like, it's not like, come on. So, yeah. Yeah, it needs to be 13, whatever. It needs to be like 8 figures, 9 figures. Yeah. Anyways. 9 figures, 10 figures, 11 figures. But, yeah. Point is, Canada has infrastructure. Canada has people. Canada has money, purchasing power. Our purchasing power in Toronto is crazy. People got money there, especially after this pandemic. We saved so much cash. We have so much government money on hand. Oh, people need to spend it somewhere. And right now, if you have opened like a cool spot or a restaurant, I bet you're getting some cool cash. But we'll see. I'm not gonna go jump into it right now. Yeah, Euro, man. Euro 2020, 2021. It's pretty good. Like, I like it. I hope that guy's doing well right now. Sports, man. I think I'm going to stop here. I feel like I gave a little bit of my thoughts on boxing right now, and I feel like I don't want to talk about more stuff, because I think that's like a good thing to like, I kind of like took it out of my chest, so like those are my thoughts on YouTube, OTT, and the future of boxing industry, and some local content about Canada and Toronto and how we rule, man. We can pay for some fights. Please tell your friends at like big promotion companies, don't write Canada off. Yes, we're going through some difficult situations with in terms of logistics and borders, but it's the first mover advantage. And there are some very, very experienced people who already done some boxing stuff, local promoters around the country. I don't know. You got to utilize that. You got to at least have those relationships. All right, everybody. This was Samir Azizi from the Azizi podcast. Thank you so much. Subscribe to my Instagram at AZZ/Twitter/TikTok/Triller. I'm even on Triller /LinkedIn and definitely iTunes Store. Subscribe to my podcast there. Actually, you don't say subscribe to iTunes anymore. You say follow me on iTunes. Follow me on iTunes and also follow me on Spotify, Twitcher, Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I'm on Twitch too. I'm everywhere, man. You just type in my AZZ handle and you will find everything. I'm actually thinking of getting like a business card, and it will say nothing. It will just say simply at AZZ and maybe like a QR code. Because if you cannot figure out what this is about, I don't know. It says more about you than about me. Nah, that sounds too cocky. Alright, maybe I'll throw my phone number in there. Alright, this was Samir Azizi. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice weekend, evening, morning, and afternoon. Adios.